Hi, my name Caitlin. My name Caitlin Hudnall, and my podcast on impact of marijuana use and vaping on teenagers. In the year 2024, it appears that being a teenager has become more difficult than ever. Teenagers have to deal with the pressure of unrealistic beauty standards, peer pressure, feeling the need to try and fit in, bullying on social media platforms, and being fearful in spaces where they should feel safe. Due to these issues, many teenagers suffer from anxiety, depression, and eating disorders, and other forms of mental illnesses. Teenagers often attempt to find outlets for these everyday stresses. Some are healthy, however, more than often they are not. During today's podcast topic, I will dive into some negative ways that teens choose to combat these issues and share a short story of a situation that many of us might relate to in some ways as a teenager. The short story I am going to talk about today is called The Smoke Between Us. It was a typical Friday afternoon at Central High School. The hallways were loud, buzzed with excitement as students were preparing for the upcoming weekend. Within the crowd was Kenai and his best friend Razor. These two have been close friends since elementary school. Recently, something was different between the two of them. Razor had started hanging with a new group of friends and started vaping. Razor had started hanging with a new group of friends and started vaping during sophomore year. At first it seemed harmless, just a few puffs during lunch break, then something to fit in with the other kids. Soon it felt like vaping was becoming more than just a habit for Razor. Razor started to use marijuana in the mix as well. What seemed to start as something out of curiosity became a daily routine. "Yo, Razor, are you coming to basketball practice?" Kenai asked as they walked to their lockers. Kenai was one of the great players on the varsity basketball team. Kenai asked Razor used to practice. Kenai and Razor used to practice every day after high school. But lately Razor had been skipping practice to go hang out at the park with older kids. "Nah, man," Razor muttered as he was stuffing his vape pen into his pocket. "I'm heading to the park with some of my friends. You should come." Kenai frowned because he had heard stories about teens smoking marijuana and vaping. While hanging out at the park, Kenai tried to avoid the peer pressure. I don't know about that, Razor. I'd rather stay away from that kind of stuff, and you should too." Razor brushed it off. "It is not a big deal. It's just something to take my mind off of things and chill." Kenai knew better because he recently attended a pep rally at school where they talked about the damages of marijuana use. According to a 2023 Centers for Disease Control report, one of 3 high school students had tried to vape, and those that vape were 4 times more likely to use marijuana. That information was surprising to Kenai. Razor was a smart dude. Razor was a smart dude. So the changes in his behavior, like failing classes and falling asleep in class, were a dramatic change. As time went on, Razor was doing really badly, skipping classes, showing up to school late, and failing at least 3 of his classes. Razor started missing practice and isolating himself from the team, spending more time with the teens doing marijuana and vaping, not realizing that he was doing harm to himself physically and mentally. Razor man, you know you are better than this. What happened to your goals? You were just telling me how you have to get your grades up because you want to apply for a basketball college scholarship. Razor replied, Kenai, you don't get it. This stuff helps me to relax. Take my mind off of the stress of my life. What Razor didn't realize is that Kenai does get it, dealing with the stress of his mom always being on him about doing schoolwork or just dealing with the pressures of being a teenager and the sometimes lonely feeling of being Kenai understood the effects of marijuana and vaping and read about how it impacts the developed brain. Research studies showed that regular marijuana use in teens could cause memory problems, learning struggles, increased risk of mental health problems like depression and anxiety. Vaping can even lead to lung damage and addiction. In 2022, 30.7% of U.S. high school 12th graders reported using cannabis, and 15% of 10th graders were using cannabis vaping. Kenai witnessed things with Razor really start to spiral out of control. Razor was suspended after he was caught vaping in the school bathroom. Kenai went by Razor's house and tried to talk to him. Razor, you don't need this stuff to fit in. There are other positive things you can do to help relax. Razor replied, Kenai, man, I'm in too deep. It's like I can't stop. I don't even feel myself anymore. Kenai said, friend, look, I got you. It's never too late. Why don't you talk to someone you can trust like Coach? He will know what to do. I will go with you. When Razor returned to school together, the two went and talked to Coach and told him what was going on. The conversation wasn't easy for Razor, but it was a start. Coach put Razor in contact with the school counselor, and Razor was referred to get some help. The story of Kenai and Razor is one that might be a familiar experience for a teenager you might know. It is a story of friendship, choice, and the consequences of drug use. It shows how easily teenagers can be pulled into bad situations, like using marijuana, vaping, especially when it feels like everyone around you is doing it. lesson is that it's never too late to seek help, make a change. A real friend will stand by you, challenge you, and push you to do better, even when it feels hard. The pressures of high school can be very overwhelming, and sometimes our parents and family members have no idea of the internal struggles some of us deal with. Add in the pressures of social media, and things can become even more stressful. In the end, Razor found the courage to reach out and seek help. So while the pressures of high school can be a lot, having supportive friends and the willpower to make change, it can make a huge difference. The life lesson of it all, that no matter how deep into a harmful habit you fall, there is always a way out if you're willing to take the necessary steps to create change. Thank you for listening to my podcast.